Oh boy, this whole fraud stuff in Minnesota, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's getting wild out here in these streets. Make sure you guys smack that like button and subscribe if you are new. And if you want to buy some merch, link is in the description as well. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, and let's dive in.
100 Minnesota mayors say they're deeply concerned and frustrated by the alleged fraud and unchecked spending from state officials. They say the state's $18 billion surplus has disappeared, projecting now a $3 billion deficit in 2028. They write this,
That is absolutely wild. $18 billion surplus to a $3 billion deficit. That is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
State owes it to our citizens to practice responsible fiscal management and to stop taxing our families, seniors, and businesses out of Minnesota. We urge the legislature to course correct and to remember that every dollar you manage belongs not to the Capitol, but to the people of Minnesota. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer was with me yesterday. He says whoever was responsible needs to be held accountable. My personal opinion is there is no way that $1 billion plus got its way out of the Walz administration without someone in the administration being aware and or complicit. He told me on this program yesterday he's grateful that President Trump pulled back the curtain on all of this. Minnesota Attorney General, meanwhile, Keith Ellison, is being mocked on social media for a post that he put out touting his work on cracking down on fraud, saying on X, scammers thought Minnesotans were easy targets, but they were wrong. From student loan scams to fake utility callers, we shut them down this year fast. Mark, who's going to shut down the fraud we're talking about, though?
Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure there was the Feeding Our Future scandal, which promised to feed hungry kids during the pandemic, and it turns out they stole like $250 million right there in Minnesota. So, look, I don't think they've been doing a very good job. And when 100 mayors have to come to the table, you know that the state isn't doing what they're supposed to do to prevent fraud. And the interesting thing, Maria, is that this isn't like a partisan group of mayors. This is a bipartisan mutiny. They're saying enough's enough. Taxpayers deserve the right to know exactly where their tax dollars are going. And taxpayers and voters also are allowed to have a reasonable expectation that their elected officials are looking out for their best interests. And it seems pretty apparent that that hasn't been happening in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's wild. 100 different mayors in Minnesota have come out and said, yeah, bro, this is crazy. What is going on here is absolutely wild in this state. Oh, Timmy, seems like you're in trouble now. Oh, man. Goodness gracious. Allegedly $9 billion and possibly more in fraud. It's crazy. That is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing numbers, man. I want to play this clip from the first Assistant U.S. Attorney, Joe Thompson, revealed that 14 state Medicaid programs have cost Minnesota $18 billion since 2018, including more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. Thompson stated, now I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. That's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much. Wild stuff, man. Absolutely wild stuff. Now let's get into this clip because wild.
Hi, Martha. Yeah, the chairman of the powerful House Oversight Committee is demanding answers. James Comer says his committee is expanding its investigation into massive fraud and money laundering in Minnesota's social services programs. Comer's asking for records from the Treasury and Justice Departments, including suspicious activity reports and interviews with state officials. Comer says honest whistleblowers were ignored.
The state employees who were the first to blow the whistle on the fraud, they claim that they notified Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison years ago. So this has been going on for years. The state employees have been blowing the whistle and alerting the governor, and he's turned a blind eye.
With some suggesting the fraud in Minnesota could be as much as $9 billion, Governor Walz says that's an exaggeration.
I'll take accountability for it, but what you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration.
The letter from those Minnesota mayors notes, quote, "Our state owes it to our citizens to practice responsible fiscal management and to stop taxing our families, seniors, and businesses out of Minnesota." Chairman Comer says the governor was aware but did not act because he did not want to offend Minnesota's Somali population. Martha?
Mike, thank you very much. Let's bring in two of the nearly 100 mayors who wrote to Governor Walz and state lawmakers about fraud. Like most Minnesota mayors, they're nonpartisan when they run for mayor. But Jackson Purfirst from Cross Lake has volunteered for the RNC, and Andrea Zupancic from Babbitt is running for state Senate as a Republican. Welcome to both of you. It's great to have you with us today. I just want to put up on screen here, this is the $9 billion in Minnesota fraud schemes. So on the left-hand side is what this money was supposed to be for. And we'll go tight on here so you can see it. Feeding children, helping recovering addicts, helping disabled adults. This was during COVID for the most part. But the money went to wire transfers to China and East Africa, a villa in the Maldives, luxury vehicles, and designer jewelry. You can see the list here. But you hear what Governor Walz is saying, Mayor Purfirst. He's saying, you know, this is up to like the local, you know, the local management here. And he's taking the blame off of himself as governor. What do you say to that?
Expected. Pass the buck to somebody else. It's never a Democrat's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Whoa, you know, I had nothing to do with it. But remember, this guy wanted to be vice president of the United States of America.
Martha, that is just absurd. I mean, Minnesotans have been fleeced to the tune of $9 billion. This is done from fraud right out of the Minnesota Capitol in St. Paul, as well as the policies that are being championed and brought across the finish line by the legislature. Both the legislature and the governor are at fault for the fraud and the constant policies that are taxing Minnesotans.
You know, let's put up Minnesota's rank among key growth indicators. Very anemic and devastating growth numbers actually across the state that have happened under this governor. But Mayor Zupancic, let me ask you about something that Mike Emanuel reported at the end there, this question about whether or not the governor looked the other way on potentially $9 billion of fraud because he didn't want to point out that the majority of those who were accused and then convicted in these cases were from the Somali community. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't understand what difference that makes to anyone else. How would anyone else be approached or confronted if they stole money from someone? They would all be acknowledged and have to go forward with the consequences of their actions. You know, we're sitting here bearing the brunt of everything: tax hikes, gas taxes, property taxes, boating taxes, gas taxes. We can't go anywhere. We can't go fishing. And he's afraid to offend someone. Well, what about me? I know my town, we're all offended that we're paying for all of this fraud to go on.
Also, once again, it goes to show that Democrats care more about these illegals than they actually care about American citizens. Right? They care about everybody else but the American citizens. Oh, well, I don't want to offend the Somalian community, so I'm not going to call out this fraud going on. What? Tells you everything you need to know about the Democrat Party right there, man.
And it's just coming out now when they've known about it for years. What's going to happen now? And let's just call it what it is. It's stealing. It's not, It's stealing. You're stealing from the state of Minnesota. You're stealing from the taxpayers that make this state the great state that it is. And how are we going to recoup from that?
I want to play this. This is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison put out this video on Friday talking about how effective he's been in fighting scams in Minnesota. Watch this.
Scammers think Minnesotans are easy targets. They are wrong.
When scammers go after our seniors, students, or families, I step in fast and we shut them down.
If you plan to scam Minnesotans, think again. You're stepping into the wrong ring.
You know, who thought this was a good idea, Mayor Purfirst? This went out on Friday.
You know what, Martha, I really have no clue. I wish that Attorney Keith Ellison would get back to work. I mean, this is insane. He is not doing anything to protect Minnesotans that are getting fleeced by Governor Walz and the current policies coming out of the Capitol.
All right, we'll see where this goes. He would like to win another governor's race, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you both.
Nah, Mike Lindell's gonna win that one. Shout out to the My Pillow guy, man. Shout out to the My Pillow guy. He's got to win that. He's got to win that. I mean, but what do you expect from these Democrats, man? At this point, I mean, they're full of fraud. They're full of cheating. We know this is just what they do. I mean, even in a place like California, where Gavin Newsom runs the place, who also wants to be president. I mean, take a listen to this.
Molly fraud scheme uncovered in Minnesota was bad. It was, but the fraud uncovered in California, massive, multiple times bigger. You ready for this? We're talking $285 billion of fraud, and that's just the misuse of COVID-19 funds. I've got your basics. The California State Auditor, yes, we have one, just released a report last week that basically says Governor Newsom has plummeted our beautiful state into financial ruin. Now, we all knew this, and amidst calls upon calls for an audit and some accountability, it's now been confirmed and comes with receipts. Don't forget, Gavin Newsom took office in 2019 when California was enjoying upwards of a $30 billion surplus in the budget. And today, 5 short years later, a deficit of $18 billion. The state auditor was so horrified by the financial condition of the state with the largest economy in the U.S. and also 4th largest in the world, he had to assign the rare high-risk designation to these agencies, the Department of Social Services, for miscalculating the CalFresh benefits program so disastrously, it will now cost California $2.5 billion just to maintain. The audit called the miscalculation overpayment fraud. The report goes on to discuss 7 existing high-risk state agencies and statewide issues, including the Employment Development Department, state mismanagement of federal COVID-19 funds, states' financial reporting and accountability, info security, the Department of Technology and of Healthcare Services, and of course, water infrastructure and availability. You think? So the EDD is busted for improper and fraudulent payments. Department of Finance is supposed to be the governor's fiscal policy advisor. They work just for the governor, so this is all their territory here. All of their reports were outrageously late, and then there was that whole COVID-19 funding fraud mess. California got $285 billion and only granted $37 billion, or 13%. This office then performed 11 audits to figure out where and how the money was spent. They then had to make 85 recommendations. Department of Healthcare Services blew $4 billion in questionable Medi-Cal payments. And in a state that's home to Silicon Valley, Department of Technology is high risk due to info security being, well, really insecure. And water. Surprise, surprise, the Department of Water Resources and the Governor's Office of Emergency Services failed epically. No water, zero maintenance, and 49 dams rated as posing extremely high hazards. Wondering where the homelessness ranks? Well, the auditor writes, hey, California, I lit you up on this in last year's report, and also we're still waiting for you to provide that data on where that $26 billion went. Meanwhile, homelessness continues to explode statewide. And your bonus tidbit. Newsom gives insane pensions to his buddies, so liberally and outrageously that California pension system is $1 trillion short. So congratulations, Newsom. You destroyed California in record time. And while you pop off in front of the camera about what a great job you're doing, the numbers don't lie. That's your thing.
The numbers don't lie. That is your thing, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, for sure. I mean, absolutely wild stuff, man. To take a budget surplus into a budget deficit like that is just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. But once again, I mean, this is the Democrat blueprint. Scam, cheat, do whatever you can to get in power and to stay in power. And if there is an issue, if an issue arises, just throw money at it and keep throwing money at it and throw more money at it. And it's just like, bro, when will people learn, bro? Stop voting for these Democrats, bro. Everywhere you look at any major place where Democrats are running it, and they're running a budget deficit. It's amazing how this works. It's amazing, especially in situations where they had a budget surplus, and the Democrats came in and just completely flipped the script to massive proportions. It's just wild, man. And these folks want to, in Tim Walz's case, be vice president, and in Gavin Newsom's situation, be president. And they can't even run a state. It's crazy stuff, man. But as always, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this. Stay safe out there. Merry Christmas. Peace and love. I'm out.